Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Yachts here, and it's Saturday. And on Saturdays, we like to do the Share the Love Club. And we're sharing the love today for sideline reporter for the Raptors 905, Lindsey Dunn. Yeah, Lindsey's been the sideline reporter for the 905 a few years now, and she brings a lightness, a happy-go-lucky kind of lightness to her interviews, and she's just a joy. Like in some ways, she's just fun. Sideline reporters can be kind of serious and very kind of like stodgy, kind of like not stuck up, but just kind of like very measured because they're worried about being very professional. Well, Lindsey Dunn is the kind of person that can mesh being very professional with being fun and making it kind of not totally serious. And that's awesome. Some of the back and forth between Lindsey and her broadcast crew at 905 this year was just gold. Gold. There was the time when Ben Schulman or somebody one of the announcers wore a suit, and they swore that their suit was green, but Warren Ward and Lindsey weren't having it. They're like, "No, bro, your suit is blue, man." This is so funny. And of course, Warren Ward, he's a real personality too on the 905 broadcast team. And the interaction between him and Lindsey is always hilarious and stuff like that. So yeah, Lindsey Dunn's awesome. The main reason I want to give some love to Lindsey Dunn right now is because she not only, it's a weird thing because in some ways she's kind of a happy-go-lucky, not too serious journalist for the Raptors media corps, but in some ways she's hard-hitting and gets actually really hard-hitting journalism done, which is a testament to her. We've got some of the younger Raptors media people like Aaron Ben Rose doing TikToks and doing stupid shit and just kind of being immature with the way they cover things. Adam Lascaris. And then you got Lindsey Dunn, who's kind of immature in how she covers things, but she's actually really bringing good, valid journalism while she's doing it. It's kind of like CBS Sunday morning reporting. You know that old show on CBS early morning Sunday where it's a very good journalistic show, but it's light and it's fun and it's not so heavy. Well, that's Lindsey Dunn's brand of journalism. It's awesome. And she's all over everything. She doesn't just cover the Raptors 905, the WNBA. She covers the Leafs. She covers the Blue Jays. She covers the Argos. She covers TFC. She covers the entertainment beat in Toronto also. In fact, last night, she was covering interviews with Blake Shelton and Gavin Rossdale. She's appearing on global television last night. She's busy. Let's just put it that way. She's interviewed people like Ringo Starr. She's interviewed some of these big, huge stars in movies and music in the world today. Yeah, she's big time. I mean, she started out as a young woman in Regina, Saskatchewan, and built her way up. She started at the global affiliate out west. Did her jobs out there, the early morning report and the morning show, and kept rising. Started in this minor leagues and got to the major leagues in Toronto and City TV and Global. Yeah, I mean, she's a real success story, and she's done a really good job. Seriously. I mean, I've done a Share the Love Club for Savannah Hamilton. I've done Share the Love Clubs for people like Sherman Hamilton and Alvin Williams and Leo Routens and Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong, media people that cover our team. But I really did feel like I needed to recognize Lindsey because not only did she do a great job on 905, not only does she do a great job in all the fields that she covers on TV. The reason is because she got that interview with Chris this week. Yeah. She had probably one of the best journalistic interviews with a Raptor this season. This week, the one she did with Chris Boucher. The one where she got the straight goods on how he felt about this season and not playing for the last 30 games. The way she asked straight up, what's going on with your future and everything. She got all the answers that I wanted from Chris Boucher in a 5-minute interview that she put out a couple days ago. That's amazing. You say she's not a serious journalist? She's a serious journalist because she went and got the answers the Raptor fans wanted from Chris Boucher. Thank you, Lindsey. Thank you for clearing the air and giving Chris a forum, since Hustle Plays no longer on Yahoo Canada, to express his mind and his feelings and where he's at. Because we've all been wondering big time question marks about Chris Boucher and what's happened this year and where his head is at. Well, Lindsey Dunn, you were a reporter. You came out and you asked the what, where, when, who, how, and you got the answers for the fans. And we love you for it. Thank you. Not to mention, wow, one of the greatest clips that has been made with the Raptors personalities in this year was the carpool karaoke. Yeah. You were riding around with Jamal Shed and Jacoby Walter, two Raptors rookies this year, and you got them to sing with you in the car. I know that's that's a thing from James James, whatever his name, Carden or whatever the fuck that guy's name is, late night TV, doing the celebrity car karaoke with Lady Gaga and stuff like that. Well, I loved it. I love that clip of Lindsey Dunn riding around with Jamal and Jacoby singing Michael Jackson, "Do You Remember the Time?" And it showed like the musical acumen of Jamal Shed. And even young Jacoby knew that song by Michael Jackson from like the early 90s. Remember the Time, the video having Magic Johnson or Eddie Murphy and the great model Iman in that video with Michael Jackson, Remember the Time. Yeah, I mean, it's just so fun, and it was cool to see our dudes happy. And in some ways, that segment, the carpool karaoke with Shed and Walter and Lindsey Dunn, signified the very, very much the vibes and the chemistry of our team and the fun and the joy that the Toronto Raptors are having currently in their stage with Darko Rajakovic as their coach and Scotty Barnes, the face of the franchise. Lindsey, thank you. That's what I want to say. Thank you. You're fun. You're the kind of person that I would like to hang out with because you just seem like you're so fun with your personality. And it would just be a laugh to hang out and just, go back and forth. I'm a funny guy too. I mean, I would be, pretty hilarious to talk to also because I could say some pretty off the chain funny things too. But yeah, Lindsey Dunn, I salute you for your work with the basketball, for your work with sports in general, and for your work with entertainment in general also. She's multifaceted. She's worked very, very hard to get to this point in her career. And I'm really, really happy that she has a part with the basketball. That in some ways, this is the other thing. She covers all sports, but she's not the kind of person that kind of dotes on one sport more and shows this is my favorite sport. She may historically be more of a hockey fan, growing up in Saskatchewan. She may be more of a baseball fan, and I wouldn't even know it. Blue Jays. I mean, she covers all them sports, and she covers them all equally with a passion and a love that you can't discern whether she likes this sport more. Or she's more happy covering NHL or MLB or the NBA. She's a very big advocate for the WNBA. In fact, she, on all of her websites or LinkedIn and different places, she lists that she's a WNBA reporter first before NBA or Raptors 905, because she's covered the WNBA for a long time, over 10 years in different ways. And I have a big feeling that next year when the Toronto Tempo are coming around, that Lindsey Dunn is going to figure very prominently in trying to help cover that team here in Toronto when we get our inaugural season of the WNBA Toronto Tempo team. So yeah, Lindsey, you're awesome. You're a true professional, but you also do it in a fun way, and we love you. You guys, if you have any love you want to share for Lindsey Dunn today, today's the day to do it. It's Share the Love Club. Lindsey Dunn, of Global, of City TV more recently. Yeah, she's amazing. Honestly, she's a really fun person. And she's the kind of person, if you talk to in real life, she would be exactly who she is on TV. Sometimes these media personalities are very different in real life when you talk to them, and like they're not necessarily as nice as they put on TV. Let's just put it that way. But I can tell if you talk to Lindsey outside of work, you probably get the same person as far as just kind of goofy and fun. You are goofy, Lindsey. That is part of your shtick. And but you embrace it so well, and you make goofy beautiful. Let's just put it that way. All right, y'all. Let's check in with everybody else. This is my spiel on sharing the love for Lindsey. I really am impressed with her journalistic jobs because she's interviewing big time Hollywood people sometimes, and she has to ask very important questions about the projects they're doing, and there maybe a charity or a thing that they're doing in their life that's important to them. So she can mix seriousness with not so seriousness in the right measures. And I think that in some ways, I want more carpool karaoke with Raptors players. I want more really good in-depth interviews where you ask people like Chris Boucher the questions that Raptors fans want asked. Really seriously. I mean, William Liu did an interview with Chris Boucher the day after you did yours, and he didn't even his interview was longer, and he didn't get half the powerful, like, important questions answered as you did. Seriously. And William Liu, I mean, he's going to ask some stupid questions somewhere in there. Of course, he's going to. Yeah. So let's go ahead and see what's going on in the chat. We've got all the regular content, the IG stories. We got the classic card. We've got the straight goods on Canadian goods. All that kind of stuff's coming up right now. So yeah, let's keep going. In the chat, Trevor J's here, Commissioner of Fun. Trevor J, always in the house first. His words of wisdom are: you got to have a personal code of ethics that you won't break or bend for anyone, no matter how people start acting. Stick to your code. You have to train your mind to be stronger than your feelings. Discipline is what Trevor is describing here. Discipline is an important thing for people in their lives. If you have discipline, in some ways, you'll safeguard yourself from problems. But also, you'll if you do the little things every day, they add up, and they may add up to something even bigger and greater. Discipline and training as a young person to become an NBA player is what will get you to the NBA. But if you don't have that discipline to train every day, put up the shots, do the things that AJ Lawson did to get to the NBA, you won't get to the NBA. You'll just be another kid that hooped from Brampton. So discipline can be good for giving you safeguards in your life to not go out of line and things that you shouldn't do. And it could also be very good for you to set up your future later, because you're getting good habits and establishing a foundation for good things because of your discipline. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Trevor J. There you go. There you go. Trevor's saying that Freddie went off for the win, 29 points. Draymond Green said that he's the reason why the Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors in the finals in 2019. Well, it's great that you admit this. He's not the only reason why. There were probably about 4 or 5 reasons why that had to do with the Raptors right there. Kawhi, maybe Kyle Lowry a little bit there. Draymond Green, Fred for sure. Yeah, Pascal maybe. Marc Gasol. How about that? Serge Ibaka maybe. A little bit of Serge Ibaka, maybe a little bit of the reason why. Yeah, you can say it how you want to say it, Draymond. Either way, you lost to Fred VanVleet in 2019. And, well, there's going to be a game 7. You might lose to him again in 2 days on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, these 2 games are going to game 7s. We're going to have game 7, Denver and the Clippers tonight, and going to get these games out of the way. And I guess they may the game 7 for Houston and Golden State will be tomorrow on Sunday. So, yeah, it's fun. The two series in the West are going to game 7s. The Eastern Conference is all settled. They're ready to get going on their games over there. And we're still waiting to see what happens with these 2 series, Denver and Clippers, and Houston and Golden State going to game 7 as of yesterday. Fred VanVleet, huge last night. Fred has made a record for the Rockets franchise. In the last 3 games, he's hit 14 3-pointers, which is the most threes in a playoff, three games in the playoffs in a row, any Rockets player in history of their franchise. And I mean, that's not saying a whole lot, because the 3-point shot didn't come into prominence until more recently, and the Rockets have not been in the playoffs for a long time until Freddie helped get them back in the playoffs this year. And the era when the Rockets were in their heyday in the playoffs was Olajuwon, and it really wasn't a focus. Kenny the Jet Smith was not jacking up threes like crazy for that Rockets double champion team. They went back to back. But yeah, in some ways, I get why this has happened. And you think about the James Harden years. Well, James Harden wasn't getting to the playoffs. So where would he get this record? So congratulations to Fred. And once again, Steady Freddie. They're calling him Steady Freddie. Blake Murphy saying that on the broadcast last night, they were talking about Raptors 905 championship with Steady Freddie, Fred VanVleet. Well, I'm going to say this right now. Once again, Rockets fans, y'all can be enamored with Alperen Sengun. Y'all can love your Thompson twin. Y'all can be so happy with the theatrics of Jalen Green in the air, Dylan Brooks' toughness. But I'm going to tell you right now, Rockets, your turnaround with your franchise the last 2 years is because of that man who's a undrafted player from Rockford, Illinois. That is the reason why your team is where it is right now. And he's showing it when it matters right now. Y'all would have been bounced by the Warriors in this series already if Fred VanVleet wasn't on your team. That's just the damn truth. That man is carrying y'all right now. He's carrying you on his backs to get past the Warriors. That's the way he is. That's the badass that he is. That's why I loved him in Toronto, and I never wanted him to leave. That's why I stood for Fred the whole time when Fred haters were talking all their stupid shit the last year he played for the Raptors. Is because Fred's a winner. There's no other way to cut this. You guys can get mad at him for chucking shots. You can get mad at him because he hogs the ball. You can get mad at him for all this shit, but he's a fucking winner. And everybody out there needs to understand that about Fred VanVleet. And that's why, to me, he's one of the top 4 Mount Rushmore Raptors of all time. DeMar, Kyle, Fred, Pascal. That's my Mount Rushmore of Raptors. The greatest Raptors of all time are those 4 guys. Not Vince, not Kawhi, those guys, because those guys were winners, and those guys won championships, and those guys won accolades, and they proved themselves in this league as being tops in this league. And Fred VanVleet is still one of those kind of guys. And he'd carry the Rockets to a Game 7 against the Warriors and Steph Curry. That's a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. I'm proud of you, Freddie. You keep going. You keep going. That's right. And the national spotlight is on you once again, and you're getting your just deserves. You got it when you were champions in Toronto. You didn't get a whole lot of shine after that, and we were mired in Tampa and all kinds of other BS. But now you're rising back up with your franchise and Rockets, and, well, just deserves and a credit to Fred VanVleet is what I'm saying right now. Let's just see right here, guys. I'll go ahead and do the refs real quick for you guys for tonight. The Clippers at Denver, Game 7, guys. We have a Game 7 on today. Mark Davis is going to be the crew chief. Mark favors the Denver Nuggets. Historically, they have a better record than the Clippers with him. Courtney Kirkland, the cyborg, is the referee. He favors the LA Clippers, but just slightly. He's favoring the Clippers just slightly. And Ben Taylor, Fred's favorite friend, is going to be the third ref, the umpire. And Ben Taylor favors very slightly the Clippers. In fact, the Clippers are his favorite team statistically. They have the highest win percentage out of all 30 teams in this league. Ben Taylor, it's like 66% or something like that. The Clippers win their games with Ben Taylor. But this is the crazy thing. The Nuggets are right after them. Oh, it's 69% actually. The Nuggets are 66%. So Clippers 69% winning under Ben Taylor. Nuggets second best team for Ben Taylor, 66%. So it really is like there's 2 favor for Clippers basically. Mark Lindsey will be in the replay center watching from afar. So yeah, there's your ref report. Mark Davis favors the Nuggets. And then the other 2 refs favor the Clippers more, Courtney Kirkland and Ben Taylor. So there's your refs. There you go. Trevor's saying he's busy today at Formula One racing, Miami Grand Prix sprint with food. So Trevor's got the food truck out, and he's in the pit area. He's going to be filling up the racers' bellies with some food. They're going to pull up next to the food truck and just get it from the window. Come on. They'll be getting their tires spin and changed. And then meanwhile, the driver's getting the tray of food from Trevor from the window. I bet that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Trevor's going to be making some money down there. He's going to be feeding people with his food truck at the Miami Grand Prix today. Fantastic stuff, Trevor. I love that, man. I love that. That's cool. I'm going to give Trevor a dunk for being a food truck man and tantalizing us with the food on the Discord server all the time. You're so wrong for that. You don't understand how much I have to eat more because of what you're doing, Trevor. You do that to me. I'm like, I already ate my meal, but Trevor shows me a meal on Discord. And then all of a sudden I'm like, man, I'm going back to the kitchen because I got to get more food. Trevor's saying the WNBA this season, the league will feature 44 games scheduled for the first time in league history. If y'all want to watch all the preseason games for free, download the WNBA app. It's only free for preseason. There you go. That's the way they get you in there. Is free preseason. You can watch it, and then once you're in the system, then if you want to watch the WNBA, well, it's this much. Yeah, that's how they get you in there, that's for sure. Yeah, WNBA is coming quick and fast, and in fact, we have our draft tomorrow. That's right, we're gonna have our draft tomorrow, James. We're gonna have our draft tomorrow, guys. You got to be ready because 9:45 tomorrow, the drafts will commence. We don't know the order of the draft. Any one of us could be the first pick in the draft. It will be randomly chosen tomorrow morning before the draft. We'll have it, and we'll see who's getting the pick first in our annual Raptor Freak WNBA fantasy draft, which will go down tomorrow on the show. You can watch it live. See who's going to get Aja Wilson, who's going to get Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Yeah, we're doing the WNBA draft tomorrow. 10 teams will enter and draft their teams of 12. And we'll have, the season start about a week after that, I believe. About a week after that. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. James is saying, Lex, do you see the Rockets beating the Warriors? Well, some of it's momentum, James, right now. That's part of what the playoffs is like much like in a game, there's a game of runs. Well, there's a game of momentum in the playoffs. And right now the Rockets got the momentum. The Warriors had a good lead in the series and the Rockets had their backs to the wall. Well, Freddie was back to the wall. You see what he does. He comes out there and he carries. And, the momentum is on the side of the Rockets. And not only that, they're going to be going back to Houston for the game 7. The Rockets have the home court advantage in this series. So in a lot of ways, they do have the advantage now because they'll be playing at home and they have the momentum. And in some ways, I would say this also, the Warriors are on the down low hurt. Jimmy Butler is not totally healthy right now. And there are probably some bumps and bruises. And once again, they are not as deep as the Rockets. The Warriors do not have as good a talent through their top 10 as the Rockets do. So, yeah, it's the Rockets to win, James. As far as I can see, if they can handle Golden State the way they did last night in their own home by getting a huge lead in the middle of the game and hold them off when they were trying to surge back up and get at them, I think they can beat them at home tomorrow in game 7. Yeah, good question, James. I appreciate that question. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm totally rooting for the Rockets to put the Warriors out. Totally. The Lakers ain't going, so you ain't getting Lakers versus Warriors NBA. So go ahead and let Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler's old asses go home and get some rest. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. It should be the Rockets tomorrow. We'll have to see. G's here. Good to see you, trivia champion G, number 1 trivia champion. It's almost official. Fred is the new owner of Golden State. Oh, man, I just love it, man, because in some ways, look, these playoffs have been so good to our Raptors championship team. They really have. Kawhi and Norman have looked really good with the Clippers. They're going to play later tonight. Fred has been amazing for Rockets the last few games. And Pascal really has carried the Pacers as the number 1 player for them to get far. OG's still in the playoffs and being a very important player for the Knicks. It's good to see different Raptors being successful in the playoffs because, Gary's out. But he wasn't on the championship team. There's different Raptors that are still in there, and they're basically all the guys who are in their prime that were on the Raptors championship team. And I think that's pretty cool. The other guys are all retired or Kyle Lowry sitting at home in Philadelphia at a cricket tournament. It's like it is what it is. And I'm proud of our champion Raptors and their current exploits in the playoffs right now. They're doing very, very well. Fred's the owner of the Golden State Warriors. Bob Myers, get the hell out of here. Fred's your new boss. That's right. Fiercey's here. Good morning to MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. Great sharing the love for Lindsey Dunn. She's good at connecting with the players. She's just a fun person. She's got an energy to her that is not so serious, but she can also kind of rein it in and really. The thing is, she's learned the professional techniques of her craft, but she's also allowing a lot of her personality into it. And it's part of it's being like comfortable. It's just the reps of doing what she does and understanding herself and being comfortable with her personality that she can be a little bit more loose and doing what she does. Some people cannot because they're really worried about screwing up, and they may be more likely to kind of tighten up and be a little bit more rigid in moments, whereas Lindsey is letting things just go, oh, and then she'll go with the flow and she'll improvise. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for her having gone to university to study media communication and writing for media and the job she does, honestly. I mean, I wrote for media, for radio, and I've done interviews with people just like she has and, all that kind of stuff. And she's really good. She's really, really good professionally. We have some really top-notch professional media people, and Lindsey Dunn is one of them. Yeah. She's saying Lindsey Dunn is fun, entertaining, no drama, and credible. Yeah, and she's not trying to pull things apart. I like that. I respect somebody who's not trying to destroy. It's somebody who's trying to create. And maybe she's trying to create fun. She's trying to create connection. She's trying to create enthusiasm. She's trying to create joy. Michael Grange, I don't know what the fuck you're trying to create. You're trying to create Giannis to Scotty, rip the heart out of Raptors fans and Scotty Barnes himself. Like, what the fuck are you trying to create? Masai Ujiri to Washington Wizards 10 years ago? Yeah, see, that's the thing. You destroy Michael Grange, whereas Lindsey Dunn creates, and she's full of joy, and you're full of disgusting weirdness, man. You're just a weird dude, Michael Grange. You're weird, man. Weird. Fiercely saying Fred VanVleet reminded Golden State 2019 was a fluke. Keep it up, Fred. I enjoy how the broadcasters went on and on about his leadership and experience. He wasn't getting that shine with us. Yeah, I just think that Raptors fans became disrespectful towards Fred because they did not really respect all of his body of work and the things he's accomplished and done for our Raptors team. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a laundry list. He has one of the best resumes as a Raptor in the whole history of the Raptors 30 years. He's a G League champion with a 905. He's a regular season NBA champion with the Raptors in 2019. He's the guy who scored the most points in a game ever for the Raptors. Like, he has the franchise most points and assists in the history of the Raptors. He has those records. I just don't get it. Why can't people celebrate Fred and stop getting mad at him? I don't understand why there's so many anti-Fred Raptors fans. You guys are idiots, first of all. The ones that hate Fred that are in our fan base, you guys are off base and stupid. You've never understood basketball correctly if you hate Fred. This is what I'm going to say right now. The man is amazing. He was undrafted. He had a draft party. He didn't get his name called. He was humiliated the night the draft happened. He never got called. And did he just sulk away and retreat and go into his life as sad? He's like, I didn't draft me. And he got all sad about it. No, he went to the Raptors and came in as a third point guard undrafted and busted his ass and made it all the way up our rotation to being the starting point guard. And that is so freaking hard. You do not understand. Did you see Jalen Harris do that? No. Did you see Malachi Flynn do that? No, you didn't. There were so many point guards that come through this team, and none of them had the rise like Fred VanVleet did. And that's why I say to people, man, start respecting Fred correctly, Raptors Nation. We should be proud of him. You should be touting him. You should be saying things in proud ways about him like you are probably today, you turncoats, even though you hated him a couple years ago when he was still in a Raptors red. Seriously, y'all. Give that man his credit and understand that, listen, that man is not an NBA height that's easy to get in the NBA and do things. And in some ways, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he does what he does, and he does it very, very, very well. Very, very well. No fluke. And I implore Raptors fans to start respecting Fred correctly. If you have not been doing it, if you talk trash about him, if you do shit like Panzer does, stop fucking doing it. Scotty had no problem with Fred that whole time. And they love each other, honestly. Yeah, they have a real friendship, seriously, still to this day. I watched Scotty watch Fred on Twitch this week, and he had nothing bad to say about Fred. In fact, he was glowing about how Fred does things. So the manufactured beef between VanVleet and Barnes was never real. It was all some bullshit that an idiot, he who shall not be named, Penn State basketball made up and fucking promoted for a year. And in some ways got our guy kind of dislodged from our team, Freddie. Fred maybe couldn't be on the team with Scott the way Scott is right now. Maybe that's true. And same for Pascal. But in some ways, listen, there was never a beef personality-wise, and there was never any hard feelings in any kind of way, in weird ways that people think or made up that year. Scotty is a team player. He's never had a problem with any of his teammates, but Scotty fans have made problems with his teammates from their own minds, imagining them up. Scotty's never, ever had no problems with no teammates his whole entire damn life. It doesn't matter what team you're talking about, middle school, high school, FSU, Toronto Raptors. He's never had an issue with a teammate. Y'all need to realize this. Scotty's not that kind of personality. And Scotty Barnes fans who love Scotty so much, I love that you love Scotty, but you got to stop manufacturing drama where there is no drama because you love Scotty so much. It doesn't have to be like that. Nobody's trying to fuck with Scotty. Dennis wasn't trying to fuck with Scotty. Fred wasn't trying to fuck with Scotty. Nobody's trying to fuck with Scotty. Everybody loves Scotty, and they like playing with him. Y'all made that shit up in your heads. And y'all came at these guys unnecessarily in different places, and it was disrespectful. And then when we got to the point where people are threatening Fred's mom, you fucking idiots. Shut the fuck up. This man, Fred, is a Raptors legend. He's a GOAT in my book. And it's so disrespectful that our own fans were making threats towards Sue Danforth. What the fuck is that? Seriously, Raptors fans. You're not a fan if you have that kind of energy towards Fred. I'm sorry. You're not a fan of the Raptors if you hate Fred VanVleet. That's just the damn truth. I'm sorry. You can't have one or the other. You could say, I'm not a big fan of his, but I don't hate him. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. You can be a Raptors fan still. But if you absolutely hate Fred VanVleet, you're not a Raptors fan in my book. You are not. Because that man has accomplished so many great things for our team. In fact, in some ways, other than Kawhi Leonard, he may be the most decorated Raptor in the history of the Raptors. Kawhi, Kyle, Fred, Pascal, these guys are the most decorated. In some ways, Pascal and Fred are more decorated because they got the 905 championship. And I'm just saying, he's a Raptor champion 2 times over, Fred VanVleet. Have some respect. Have some respect. That's right. James is saying Fred over Quickly. Well, I'm saying for accolades, yeah. As far as importance, yeah. Quickly's got time. Quickly, you got to go get a championship. Maybe I'll start putting you up there with him. I will say this. Emmanuel Quickly's more talented and maybe a better player than Fred in the long run, but he hasn't done that yet. He's very young. He's got time to grow. He's got to learn certain things. He's got time to accomplish things. Freddie's a bit further down in his career, and he's accomplished a lot already. Emmanuel has not, and Emmanuel has the chance now as the starting point guard of the Raptors and not playing behind Jalen Brunson on the Knicks anymore. And I think that Emmanuel Quickly is a much more talented player than Fred, and he will supersede him at some point, hopefully, because he plays so well and he gets a championship himself. But that's the thing. He's going to have to get a championship. Maybe he's got to beat Fred's assist record for the Raptors. Maybe he's got to do this and that. Then I'll start saying, yeah, Emmanuel's better than Fred in the history of the Raptors. But I think that Quickly is more talented than Fred. He has a lot more skills in his bag that he can go to in some ways Fred doesn't have. So that's the thing. It's about promise and living up to it. Emmanuel has a lot of promise. Will he live up to it? Fred had no promise, but he lived beyond expectations. That's the thing. Fred didn't have the promise that Emmanuel Quickly has out of Kentucky, out of playing for the Shockers. He didn't have that kind of promise. In some ways, he had that tenacity. He had that shed kind of thing. He had that steady Freddy. But he doesn't have the talent and some of the things that Emmanuel Quickly has. And just imagine that if Fred had more talent, just imagine how much even better he would be. Seriously, because he doesn't have all the talent in the world. He's not the most talented guy physically. And he makes the most of everything that Fred VanVleet has. He makes the most of it. Stillman's here. Good to see Stillman. Good to see you, Rob. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. That last Open Gym episode was amazing. It got me emotional, but had a big omission at the end of the show. They forgot Pascal and the homage to all the great players that were on the team through the years. That's interesting that you noticed that. Did they put OG in there too? That's interesting. I don't know. There's so many players that were going to omit somebody somewhere in there, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I didn't really see the omission, and it stood out to me. But you're probably right. I don't remember seeing Siakam at the end of it. That's interesting. Well, I might have to rewatch it and kind of pay attention to who they did omit. Either way, it could be that, in some ways they're respecting some of the players being involved in the playoffs still. But then again, that don't make no sense if they're putting Fred on there. Seriously. Are you sure they didn't put Pascal on there? Because I'm pretty sure. I think I saw him. I don't know. But either way, that was an amazing episode, Stillman. The whole season this year was 10 out of 10. Open Gym was just top notch this whole entire season of 10 episodes. Really, really, really good season, Open Gym. Like maybe the best season of Open Gym production and storytelling, the whole entire entity of how y'all have been doing it. Y'all are at the top of your game right now. Really tight storytelling, amazing technical work with shots and effects and cuts and just really, really, really masterful job. You guys are doing such a good job on Open Gym. You guys really are. And I'm so appreciative of Open Gym. I really, really am. G saying, I agree. Pascal hasn't been getting a lot of shine in the Open Gym episodes for some reason. Hopefully they have one in the future focused on him. Well, they've done so much on Siakam when he was on the team. In some ways they are probably directing the thing in certain ways. It's like, yeah, let's not maybe put him on blast in this way and that much, this much. We have to be careful with the guys who are actively top of teams, like franchise player. Siakam in some ways is the franchise face of the Pacers right now. And in some ways, proprietary wise, he's a Pacer, and they need to keep him in forefront for advertising for them. And if the Raptors are doing too much rah Pascal stuff, maybe it's kind of like Pacers Nation's kind of like, come on, chill out, man. He's here with us now. We are paying his salary, and he's carrying us in the playoffs right now. I don't know. It could be all kinds of reasons. I mean, I felt this kind of energy about Anunoby also in the last couple of years since he went to New York, that they kind of omit him and kind of go around him. But then again, you guys say this, and then you see the intro a video when they're doing everybody coming out, and they're showing all the years of the Raptors and different Raptors coming in and high-fiving, like on the intro in the arena. And OG and Fred and Pascal are in that video montage. So it is true. It does seem like Siakam is missing from some of this stuff, but it's probably way easier for them to put Serge and Mark and people that are out of the league in those videos than putting people like OG and Pascal in those videos, and Fred. So, I mean, there's a fine line they got to walk with this, because in some ways, like I said, they're current products. They're on other teams, and they're actually their team should be covering them in those kind of ways. So, I mean, I'm glad you're sensitive to this, guys. But I wouldn't read into it too much. I think that in some ways we know where Siakam and Fred and OG's hearts are with Toronto. They love Toronto, and they're always going to cherish their time playing for our teams. And when they're done playing, they're going to circle back, and they're going to get all the flowers and accolades here because they're in good standing with Fan Nation, and they're going to always be Raptors legends that don't speak out against us in bad ways. I'm telling you right now, none of those three guys are going to ever say something stupid like Rudy Gay or Thad Young. They never will. They won't, because they're real ones, and they're real ones for our team, even though they play for other teams. We got to just wait. Let the guys who are currently at the top of their game in their prime playing for other teams be with the other teams. And when the time comes around the way, we'll hang out with them and have them back in the fold. That's kind of how I feel it right there. Yeah. It's got to feel it. Yeah. Stillman saying, I wonder if someone around here has access to the editors of the show to fix this. Well, Mo does. Mo talks to the Open Gym people constantly. So Superfan Mo does have the ear of the Open Gym production crew. And but I don't think this is an issue. I really don't. Once again, he's a Pacer, and the Pacers produce all kinds of content with him involved. Also, PS43 Productions, which I was just talking about recently, they're making films about Siakam in the style of Open Gym all the time too. So I don't know. Maybe there is some sort of weird underlying thing. Either way, we know where Masai stands. Everything that Siakam does is a success for Masai, because in some ways, Pascal Siakam was made by Masai. This is the damn truth. In some ways, Siakam doesn't come to Toronto and play for us and get the certain schooling and tutelage and things to grow here. He may not be Siakam exactly who he is right now in this league. And in some ways, Masai, very rightly so, in his interview about Pascal and the friction and maybe some weird stuff about talking to him that summer, about not talking about the contract and the weirdness before Siakam got traded after a half year that year. Masai was very adamant and angry, actually, with the press's question and saying Siakam's accomplishments are mine too. And he's right. He's right in a lot of ways. I believe that. Yeah, I don't think this is an issue. I think you guys are making something out of nothing. You guys have noticed the omission, but in some ways, who cares right now? Siakam's getting all the love in the world from Pacers Nation and all the attention in the world. In some ways, he doesn't need the Raptors to put him on blast right now, if that makes sense. Trevor J attended his friend's graduation yesterday. Scotty Barnes back in Tallahassee, back in the old stomping grounds at Donald L. Tucker Center, where I saw Florida wrestling, championship wrestling from Florida when it was the Leon County Civic Center. And the mid-'80s, Barry Windham, Road Warriors, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Kendo Nagasaki, the Great Muta, fabulous ones, Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Yeah, these are all people that I saw in the building that Scott was sitting in yesterday wrestle in the mid-'80s, because that's my hometown where Scotty is, where I grew up, Tallahassee, Florida, 79 to 99, lived there for 20 years. And I know Tallahassee very well. In fact, I graduated in that building also from Florida State at the Donald L. Tucker Center. And Scotty was in Tallahassee to watch his good friend Jason Simpson, his friend from the Florida State Seminoles men's basketball team, walk and get his diploma as a graduate of the Florida State University. Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, we had a shooting at the school, and it was stupid and ugly outside the Business School, very, very close to the Bellamy building where I took most of my social sciences classes. Yeah, it's sad stuff. But see, good to see happiness with Jay Simpson walking, get his diploma, and Scotty's there. Scotty's that kind of friend. Come back and say hi to Tallahassee, be at the graduation ceremony, and stand with his teammate and best friend, Jason Simpson, as he walks and gets his diploma at Florida State. Awesome stuff. As a guy who's lived this and been there and done that, it's a great thing. Being in that big room with all the graduates all at the same time, you wait a long time to get your name called. Air horns are not allowed anymore. There's too many air horns. Too much of that shit going on. But it's cool to see Scotty came back and did that. Now, Scott, you're going to have to walk at some point, possibly yourself, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Because you got all the money in the world. You can buy all the Balenciaga that you want to buy. You got no reason to finish your degree, but will you? Don't you do it during the playoffs. Don't you do any kind of bullshit like Vince Carter did when he walked for UNC. No, we don't need that. If you're going to walk on the right time. We've learned our lesson. But it's nice to see that you went and hung out and saw Jay Simpson walk. And that's really awesome. Scotty, will you finish your degree? You only went to FSU for 1 year. I don't know if you will. I think that you're going to go ahead and go forward in your life, and you will never, ever have to finish your degree because it won't matter. It won't matter. This man's got $500 million coming to him in the contract he's got right now. So I don't know if Scotty's going to ever walk at Florida State. Will you? Maybe ask you that question at Twitch if you're going to be on there again. I mean, Scotty, we just saw you go to FSU to watch Jay Simpson walk. Are you going to walk one day? I don't know, Raptors freak. I'm too busy. I'm in University of NBA Raptors school. That maybe was the case there. But yeah, really cool to see Scott back in Tallahassee and at Florida State watching Jay Simpson get his diploma as a Seminole. He's graduated. He done graduated now. That's right. Get in the fountain at Westcott, my guy. You did it. Good job, Jay Simpson. We're proud of you, man. Get in that fountain at Westcott. That's right. That's right. Trevor J saying, I'm already down here at Miami race kickoff at 11:45. There you go. Trevor's got to get that cooking, get that food ready, Trevor. Get down there and get that food cooking and get that racetrack hot with the good eats. Yeah, you better send us pictures of what you're cooking on the Discord, my guy. G saying, people calling Fred, Kawhi, and Pascal 2019 versions. That team has been getting a ton of shine this year, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. You know, people in hindsight, as I knew it would happen, you know, they didn't give us enough credit for that nucleus that we had in 2019, just how badass it was. Now people come back and look at it, and they just look at how stacked it was. And seriously, you could say OG Anunoby was on that team, and you know how much New York Nation loves him, and they see how good he is helping them. And we went through that whole championship run without even OG playing because he had appendicitis and was out that whole entire playoff. That says something right there. OG was DMP on the injured reserve. That's how good that team was. Seriously. Yeah, I'm glad y'all are coming around and figuring it out. Raptors Nation knew this when we were going through, and we were bona fide, and we did deserve that championship. And now that y'all are seeing that these guys were really that damn good, the validation is nice. Y'all caught up 6 years late. Y'all caught up 6 years late on the badassery of Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, Danny Green. Y'all caught up too late. All those defensive, amazing players that we had on that team. All of them. So good. So good. Kaz is here. Good to see Trucker Kaz. Lex, WNBA draft tomorrow. I'm excited to get into the WNBA. Yeah, Trucker Kaz. It'll be fun. This is like I was telling Mike, a logical Raptors fanatic, because he joined the league last. I said, Mike, you know you're going to have to cover the WNBA soon because it's going to be Toronto tempo time. And in some ways, I know that you're not that familiar with the WNBA product, but this is a great way to crash course yourself on the WNBA is to play fantasy. You know, in the past, I didn't really know about the NFL like 20 years ago. Let's just say I never really was an NFL football fan. Never really. Vicariously, I knew about Troy Aikman and the Cowboys and those years in the 90s and the Buffalo Bills, sad, like Super Bowl losses over and over again, shit like that. Chicago Bears, Jim McMahon, Refrigerator Perry, shit like that. But it wasn't really until in university at Florida State when I started, it was in grad school actually, that I played fantasy football with some people in my sociology classes that I got really big into fantasy football. And I didn't know anything about the NFL at all, but I learned fast because if you want to win in fantasy, you got to learn the league. So I saw Mike, you got to get a crash course on the WNBA before we get the tempo. You're going to have to know who the main players are in the WNBA. So come in and play fantasy with us. You will learn, trust me. You will learn the landscape of the league and who the power players are. And maybe even you'll have some of the players on your team this year that'll end up being on the tempo next year from the expansion draft. So it's a great way to get a primer on the league and learn the players and learn the teams. And Kaz, I'm glad you've joined as a new team also to get that education. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I made the schedule specially. I made it. I didn't make it auto. I actually put it in, and I tried it really hard to make it balanced as much as possible. As far as you should be playing most of the teams in your division twice, and then everybody in the other division once. And I really tried to spread it out in certain ways that made sense. So the schedule is actually the real schedule for the season that's on there. You can look at your schedule and you'll see who you're going to be playing throughout the year. There was a little bit of a weird thing I had to do with JP and Edmund where they're going to play each other twice at the end of the season, but it doesn't really matter. They were going to play each other twice anyway. So yeah, you guys can check your schedules. They are the actual schedules for who you're going to have to play all year. I got to play Meredith twice because, well, I'm the Raptor Freak, and it's the Raptor Freak League, and he's the champion, two-time champion. He deserves to play me twice. So I'm going to have to play MK twice. First week of the season and the last week of the season, MK and I will play each other. He gets that right because he's the champ, and he deserves that. That's right. James is saying Clippers need to get a W tonight. That's right. This is a big game. Game 7. Kawhi Leonard. I wonder if wouldn't this be crazy, y'all? What if they had a Kawhi number 2 kind of shot? I don't want it to happen exactly the same like it did against Philadelphia here. But what if Kawhi does do some crazy ass shit tonight where right at the end of the game, he wins the game in a game 7 at the last second once again? It won't be the bounce. It won't be as epic or crazy, but it could be very similar. In some ways, people will be like, whoa, that's just Kawhi's action. That's part of what he does, man. We should expect this because it's a game 7. And in some ways, this is the kind of settings where these kind of things come. So who knows? We're going to have to watch Kawhi at the end of the game if it's close and see if he's going to get some game winner or something like that. Kawhi needs to go cyborg mode. Yeah, he's in it already. He's played pretty steady. The losses they've had against Denver, it's really because Jokic has really stepped up in a huge way. And Jamal Murray had a huge game, a 40-point game in one of the wins for the Nuggets too. But for the most part in this series, they've gotten really steady production from their 3 main guys, the Clippers, from Leonard, Powell, and Harden. They've been doing a pretty good job of producing. So we'll have to see. Tonight, game 7. That's all the drama, man. All the smoke. Let's see if Cyborg Kawhi shows up, James. We'll have to see. That's right. Trevor's saying Las Vegas Aces and Wings game was sold out. Aces have some good young players. That was preseason last night, too. They sold out their preseason game last night. WNBA is arriving, man. And we're going to be stacking another level to it when we come here to Toronto next year because they will go international. And we really, really are with Serena Williams in the fold with the Toronto Tempo. We are going for an international world audience. And in some ways, the WNBA has been very confined to United States, not even Canada. Canada's barely gotten a taste of WNBA, a couple of exhibition games, one here and one out west. But otherwise, the WNBA has not really entered the Canadian market. Well, it has because Toronto Tempo exists, but they have not started playing. And that's when things will start really cooking up. And the other thing is they're poised, Teresa Resch, Kilmer Group, and Larry Tenenbaum, to take the product of the Toronto Tempo and put it on blast around the world. Serena Williams is a global figure. She's somebody that's known in every continent, and she can get the attention in other places. This is really the gateway where Toronto Tempo, Serena Williams, and the WNBA will get some really good international ground. And I could see this happening. I can see this happening. It's exciting. And the WNBA is ready for it. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Juju, all these different people coming in now. This league's going to get better and better, and it's going to get more shine. Keep going. Take that ball and run with it, women. Just keep going, WNBA. I'm all about it. That's right. Kaz is saying, do you think ESPN is better for fantasy than Yahoo? No. I think Yahoo's better than ESPN, especially because you could get mock drafts. on Yahoo Easy, and ESPN doesn't really do mock drafts. No, the only reason why we're doing it on ESPN is because they are the only ones that offer WNBA fantasy. Yahoo does not offer WNBA fantasy, or I would do it on Yahoo. The only place you can play WNBA fantasy is on ESPN. And that's the whole reason why we do it on their cast. The interface is a lot different. You're going to have to learn a little bit of a different system than the one we were using for the NBA season just recently. So yeah, it is. I'd prefer to be on Yahoo, to be honest. Some people prefer the ESPN stuff though than I do. You'll have to figure out for yourself. Now, I wish that we could do mock drafts ahead of time so we could kind of see the beats of the WNBA fantasy drafts right now, but they're not offered. It's just kind of like that. In some ways, we should just be happy that they offer WNBA fantasy, but they should have been doing this all along. They didn't start doing it until like 5 or 6 years ago. So everything's a little slow for the WNBA. Even though the WNBA has been around for almost 30 years, you could only play WNBA fantasy for like the last 5 years or something like that. So it's pathetic, honestly. In some ways, it shows sexism. In some ways, they think, oh, the market's not there. The women just don't generate enough interest for us to put the technical apparatus in to hold fantasy on our website. It's bullshit like that. But yeah, we're playing, and we played. This will be the third year in a row we've played, and I'm excited about a third year. Let's see if MK can do the three-peat and be the first ever only WNBA Raptor Street champion. He's got 2 rings already. You gonna get that third ring, Meredith? He's getting literal rings. I'm serious. Trevor J and I are buying him rings and sending them to him. Trevor buys a ring and we send it to him. And he's got 2 rings on his hand right now already, Meredith, MK. So he's going to get that third ring. Somebody's got to stop him this year. That's right. Somebody's got to stop him. Fiercely saying teams in the West head into game 7s. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City has been chilling for 2 weeks. Go OKC. That's good and bad, MJ. We know that. Although knowing SGA and those guys, they're so professional that they're going to be fine. It could really be that, Mark Dagnall and them, they're going to have them running really well still, and kind of, but also the layoff can be bad for the teams because they lose some of the chemistry and the momentum they got going. I believe that the Thunder are going to be fine. They're just like that this year. They're just like that this year. And maybe they're a little rusty in the first game, but that may be the only chance that their opponent in the second round will have. And because once they get revved up and get going again in that round, it's all over. It's all over for whoever's playing them. And it's probably who we'll see tonight. Who wins the game tonight will be playing the Thunder in the next round. Is it going to be the Nuggets or is it going to be the Clippers? In some ways, I'm rooting for the Clippers to get it because I want SGA to get some against the 2019 Toronto Raptors Finals MVP. A man, in some ways, that SGA probably is like, man, I love you, man, because you brought a championship to my hometown team. But also, it's like, yeah, I want to kill you in this tournament, in this playoffs. I'm gonna come get you. So we'll have to see. I'm rooting for Clippers to win tonight, partly because I want to see Gilgeous-Alexander get to play his rookie team, his team he played on as a rookie. Yeah, in some ways I want to see that. That's right. Cass saying Yahoo needs to get their shit together. Well, this is the thing. Yahoo, in some ways, is a corporation, and they've made very big corporate moves lately to cut a lot of their funding for sports stuff. It's amazing that they still have some of the fantasy sports on there. They cut all their journalists. The Amit Man lost his job. They took away Hustle Play with Chris Boucher. They just cut so much shit like 2 years ago. And in some ways, they're just bare bones running it. That's part of the problem with Yahoo. They don't care. They've cut back on services and fun stuff for people, not adding them, because in some ways, they're just trying to cut costs. They kept the very bare essentials. There's like, well, this Yahoo fantasy stuff does actually make some money, so we'll keep that going, but we'll cut all the extra stuff like interviews and people we're paying. We'll just pay AI writers, and we'll have AI articles, and we won't have real people as journalists anymore. That's where we're going, guys. AI is going to be taking so much shit away from so many people in the workforce. UBI is going to be essential for survival. That's right. Fiercely saying she prefers ESPN. Yeah. I'm not totally with that, and it's partly just because I don't know. It's maybe because I've used Yahoo for a long time. Yahoo is the fantasy site that I always played on, and ESPN's more newer to me, and in some ways, I'm not as used to it. And I don't like some of it. Like, I feel like the interface with the Yahoo's easier and more intuitive. And sometimes the ESPN stuff is kind of like, you got to go here to find this, to do this, especially with the commissioner's tools. Y'all, it's one thing for y'all to run just a team and keep up with your lineup and the waiver wire and draft and stuff like that. But I'm doing like the commissioner stuff, which is setting the scoring settings, the roster settings, setting up the schedule, setting up the conferences. And in some ways, ESPN, the way you got to do it is not all easy to find. And Yahoo is much easier to find in the commissioner's tools. So that's one of the gripes I have with it is that Yahoo's easier to use than ESPN in some ways. Smooth's here. Good to see Reggie. Great win by the Rockets last night. Freddie played very well. Yeah, he did. He really did. I know Chev and Pencer were anti-Fred. How are they feeling now? I know. Wrong is what they should be feeling. Wrong. And, stop being disrespectful to a GOAT. That's what I got to say right now. Freddie is a real one. Steady Freddie is a real one. Fred VanVleet is a Raptors icon that should be celebrated and cherished and loved forever. And I say that standing on the shoulders of Adriana, who loves Fred VanVleet. She thinks Fred VanVleet is her favorite player of all time. He's her beloved NBA player. And when he left and went to Houston, she was sad about it. She was very, very sad. Very, 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 very sad about it. And in some ways, I stand for Fred partly because Adriana wants me to. And that's one of the things is like somebody who was on this channel a lot said something about Fred in the chat last year around Christmas, and I got really mad at them. I don't like it when supposed Raptors fans are watching a Fred VanVleet clip, and this happened on Twitch when Scotty was watching him, and some idiot in the comments section said, I'm so glad Fred's not on our team anymore. Or they say, oh, I'm so glad that chucking little jerk is off our team anymore. Whenever somebody says something like that, I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. Fred is a legend for our team, and we should love him and honor him. And anybody who's saying shit like, oh, I'm glad he's not on our team anymore, y'all never got it. Y'all never understood it. In fact, in some ways, you may have not been a long enough Raptors fan to understand exactly the climb that he came from 2016. I don't think you do. So, yeah, man, Chev, I like Chev a lot. But, man, I've noticed Chev isn't doing hardly anything on YouTube. I went and looked at his channel recently. He's put out like 3 or 4 videos in the last 6 months on YouTube. So he's really not on there anymore. And Pencer, whatever. In some ways, I'll get with Pencer on the hot mic and a couple other issues. But once again, I'll never forgive him for that year that he totally bashed Fred and did his bullshit. Seriously, Robert, how do you feel about Fred after last night? Seriously, do you not understand what I've been trying to say since you started your anti-Fred campaign 3 years ago? That you fuckface, you don't understand that Fred is a winner, and look at what he's doing against the Warriors last night. Seriously, what the fuck talks about him like that? Seriously, that's right. Kaz saying 10-4 fiercely. I've never used ESPN, so I'll be learning on the fly. Yeah, and once again, this is a beginner's league. This is not an advanced league. Everybody who's in this league, for the most part, does not have a lot of experience in playing fantasy. I do, because I started playing fantasy in around 2005. And I've played all major sports fantasy. I've mastered NHL fantasy. I've mastered MLB fantasy. I've mastered NFL fantasy. I've mastered NBA fantasy. In fact, there was a year in the 2000s where I won all 4 major sports fantasy leagues that year. I won the NFL, the MLB, the NHL, and the NBA gold in my fantasy leagues 1 year. I was that good at fantasy sports. And they're all different. They're different seasons. And if you do all of them all the time, it's a full year commitment because baseball bridges you over the summer. And baseball is so in depth. To play fantasy baseball, that's the hardest one to play because the season's so freaking long. They have way more games than any other seasons. And you have to really stay up on who's pitching and who's catching. If you don't get all your catching in, you got to have a couple of catchers because catchers don't play every game. And you have to check and see which one the catchers are going to be catching that day. And then you got to take them out and accordingly. And you can miss playing games because you didn't pay attention to it and you missed days. You can miss pitchers not being in because you had them on your bench and they're actually playing because, there's all kinds of ways you can get in trouble with baseball. Not to mention that fantasy baseball has so many positions. You got to have all the positions. You have to have the different bases, outfield. And, it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. And your roster is huge too. You have the biggest roster out of all the sports. Football's the easiest. Football's once a week. Football, you can set your lineup on Thursday and you're good for like 4 days. Fantasy football is the easiest one to play. It really, really is. And hockey and basketball are similar, of course, because they're very similar in the length of the season, in some ways. And they have about the same amount of players on each team. Playing fantasy hockey was fun. I really did know all the players in the NHL in the 2000s because of it. I knew about the different good defensive players and the goalies and, forwards and centers and stuff like that. And I was really on top of fantasy hockey at that time, around 2005 to 2010. But at a certain point, I got burnt out, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. You can't play all 4 major sports all year round, all the time. I was a fantasy nerd, and I actually was writing a fantasy blog at that time about who to play and stuff like that for all major sports. I was really literally like a fantasy junkie guru, where at that time you could have came to me and I would have told you about Sean Alexander, or I would have told you about Thomas Caberlet, or would have told you about JJ Putz. I would have told you about somebody from the NBA around that time too, like Kevin Love or something like that. I could have told you about each one's fantasy profile and who you should be playing and all that right around 2008, 2007, because I was really on top of it. Really, really on top of it, man. Let's see. Trevor's saying, I'm going to go to Thunder. Whoever played them, I'm going. Trevor's just saying, I want to go see SGA and Lou Dort play on this championship run they're about to do. I want to be a part of it. So Trevor J is going to hit the road. He's going to go see the Thunder in the second round against either the Clippers or the Nuggets. So cool. You better give us the deets, Trevor J. And of course, you're already going to Summer League. You got your tickets to Vegas. You got to sneak into the Raptors ballroom practice facility. You got to get in there, Trevor. I don't care if they're in there themselves. You just got to sneak in there and take a picture of yourself in the Raptors' famous ballroom at the Wynn Casino Resort. Yeah, please do that, Trevor. So Trevor's going to be the man on the street, the man on the stateside, going to the events for the RFF. So yeah, you go on then to a Thunder playoff game the next round. I would love to hear all about that. Please. Fiercely saying Chev wasn't anti-Fred at first. He was advising the fan base to respect his legacy and trajectory from undrafted to how valuable he became. He didn't appreciate Fred going on a media tour and allegedly preparing his exit. Yeah, I know. Some people didn't like how Fred handled things right at the end, but I can't get mad at him for that. What did he do that was so bad? Seriously, he fulfilled his contract with the Raptors. He played hard right up until the end. In fact, he was hurt to a degree at the end of his Raptors career, and he still played for us. I don't get this. He's a product in the NBA. He has to sell himself. In some ways, he needed to do that. In some ways, that was smart. In some ways, how much of this was the impetus of Clutch and Rich Paul, who was representing him at the time, as far as telling him, you need to do this, Fred, so that you can get a big contract. And well, it came through. He got like a $45 million contract a year or something like that, right? So it's like, I can't get mad at him with that. The man's looking out for his financial interests. Chef's all butthurt about that. I mean, come on, man. The writing was on the wall. They were jaded. They won the championship in 2019. They went through the ringer in Tampa and the pandemic and the bubble and all the misery of not making the playoffs and all that stuff. The magic was gone. They had seen the top and they'd fallen and they were not feeling a good place. It's very, very apparent. They talked about it now publicly. Siakam, very, very open public about feeling the feelings of the rise of the championship and the crash afterwards without Kawhi and players leaving more and more, Mark and Serge, and getting bottomed out on the Raptors. It's like, look, these guys know what it was like to have good things around, and they weren't getting back to it. And in some ways, it's much harder to make that climb back with guys who had already been there and seen it because they're feeling like, man, this isn't the same. So it had to be changed. It had to be changed. From the inside, they all could feel it. From the outside, we were wishing and hoping, yeah, let's not end this. Let's keep the band together and let's keep going. In some ways, they wanted to do that. They did sincerely want to do that. Try and go for the second championship with nucleus of Pascal, Fred, and Norman. But in some ways, that was not in the cards once we got luck in the draft and number 4 came to us. It wasn't in the cards anymore. In some ways, we saw a fresh new start around Scotty Barnes, and some of those guys that were on the championship team who felt the heights of that, they couldn't be there anymore because in some ways we were starting over and it wasn't right for them to be on that team still. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. And people that had any problem with Fred and how he handled his business, whether he made that parlay documentary about his life and kind of overtures about how he almost signed with Phoenix instead of us, but he didn't. He signed with us. Remember that, guys. Listen, I've talked to Fred personally. He's a real one for our city. He loves the fans in the city of Toronto immensely. He's never going to change that. And we need to just understand he's under contract with the Rockets. He's a mercenary and he goes to play for whoever he plays for. But his first team in the place where he built his legend and who he is, much like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, is in Toronto. And he'll always be grateful and thankful to this city for that. So I don't know. Even during that whole time, I wasn't getting with all that. Some people had a lot of animosity towards Fred the summer he decided to go to Houston. But I can't fault him for this. In some ways, we leverage this the right way. Some people were mad at the front office because they said, oh, you let Fred go for nothing. He just walked. Bullshit. We took a man who was undrafted and built him into an all-star. How the hell are you going to say we got nothing from Fred? We paid him the contracts for the years that he played for us, and he gave us what we wanted, send services rendered. How can you say that? He doesn't owe anything to us once his contract is up and he's a free agent. And you say, oh, we built him all up. We got nothing for him. No, we got a lot for him. We got all the time served and the accolades, the championships, and the things he did on the court. And not to mention, he's a sterling example of what our development team here in Toronto can do to build a player from undrafted too. So it's like, let's not get it twisted. Fred didn't owe anything to us. The front office did not lose him for nothing. His legacy and all these kind of things live on, and they matter. They matter. I always get mad when people say, oh, because he was a free agent, he just walked. You didn't get anything for him. You should have signed and traded him. I hate that argument. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. The people that go around in Fan Nation and media places and say, oh, when you lose a guy for nothing and they just walk in free agency, it's such a fail. No, it's not. That's just you putting your own perception of that shit on it. It's not actually that. It really isn't. It's just that contracts end and people go and play for other teams. It's such bullshit. It's one of the stupidest tropes that some of the media figures around the team, like Grange and fans and Fan Nation, I don't even call them Fan Nation. People in Raptors Nation, bullshit artists put that shit on Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and other places. It's the stupidest argument. It really, really is, man. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Fiercely saying, I was salty about it too at first, but it's all business. And he has a family to care for. Nothing wrong with knowing your worth and advocating for the best. Yeah, exactly. I have no problem with that. He did really good. I'm proud of him for getting that contract. I'm proud of him for getting the Rockets out of the mud. It'd be one thing if he went down to Houston and took that contract and they spun their wheels and stayed at the bottom of the conference. But they are fucking rising and they're winning and he's coming through. And Rockets fans, you should be very appreciative of Fred VanVleet. If there's Rockets fans that are mirroring some of the anti-Fred fans here in Raptors Nation, y'all need to shut the fuck up. Y'all wouldn't be anywhere in the last 2 years without Fred as your starting point guard. You need to realize this. You need to realize this. And the evidence is last night. The evidence is last night. If there's anti-Fred VanVleet Rocket fans, y'all are idiots. You seriously are. Because like 2 years ago, y'all were the worst team in the league almost. And now look where you are. Second seed in the Western Conference. Put some respect on Fred VanVleet's name. And understand that vets like him, Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green, and the coach Ime Udoka is the reason why you're where you're at. Steven Adams. Yeah, it's not Jalen Green. Maybe the youth and the talent of Thompson and Sengun a little bit. Yeah. But it's not Jalen Green. It's Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and Ime Udoka. That's it right there. Boom goes the dynamite. Trevor's saying, I will post some of the food we make today. All right, cool. I want to see that. Fiercely saying he reminded us to be careful. If we made Fred leave, he had the baggage to make another team successful, and we now see it. Rockets are better thanks to him, not even the other vet, Green. Jeff Green helps with leadership, and he's just good to have around as far as guidance. He's a Garrett Temple. So, yeah, I mean, Freddie, listen, his time with us was done. He would have been a Raptor for life if he could have been. So would have Pascal. So would have OG. These guys all would have been Raptors for life if they could have been, but it's just not realistic in today's NBA. It really, really isn't. And once again, who are we to fucking question Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster about when time is up with players and who they should be on the team and who shouldn't? Everybody who had a problem, I get it. Some people that really, really love Siakam really wish we had invested in him and kept him on our team still and think that we could have. But Bobby and Masai live on the moon and they know the parameters and things better from the inside on the inner working details. And they're the ones who know the best out of everybody. From the outside, we could see it and think that we know, but we don't. We don't. And sure, in an ideal world, Siakam's still wearing a Raptors jersey right now alongside Scotty Barnes. But spicy barbecue wasn't to be. And it was a limited edition dish served at Scotiabank Arena. Well, let's just be happy we got a little bit of spicy barbecue when Pascal was on the team still with RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Scotty Barnes. We got a little bit of that time. It was nice. It was fun. It was winning too. It was winning. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying change is good. Look at our team now. It's so refreshing. The future looks bright. Yeah, you need this. You need this. I watched the interview of Leo Routens with Mike Roach yesterday, and in some ways I had problems with it. In some ways I like the things that Leo was saying also. And change has been refreshing for the Raptors. Leo assessing the team this year, saying that we did really good with developing our young guys and really, really good stuff. And he does believe we'll be a playoff team next year. And he really does like the addition of Brandon Ingram. But he went on again with his trope about tanking. Leo, you're kind of contradicting yourself, is what I would say. All season long, during the second half of the season, I should say, Leo Routens was on TV telling the Raptors that they need to stop winning so much, that they're really messing up. They need to lose on purpose. They need to start losing on purpose. Man, why are you saying this on the broadcast? And it even said, Mike Roach said in his interview, he's like, you were one of the only people in the media saying that you were saying what the fans were thinking that the Raptors need to do. Yeah, some of the fans, maybe, but not all the fans, not super fan Monique Lawrence, not myself. Man, Leo, I don't understand this. How can you contradict yourself? You say, first of all, the Raptors should have been tanking harder. They should have been losing more games in the second half. But then Mike Roach asked you about tanking. How do you feel about tanking? So I hate it. I hate it. It's despicable. I wish people wouldn't do it. Wait a second. Leo, you just said you wanted the Raptors to tank for the second half of the season, but now you turn around saying it's despicable and it's hurting the game and it's the worst. Wait a second, Leo. What? Seriously, man, get it straight. Either you're for tanking or you're not. You were for tanking this season. You were the most vocal media person saying the Raptors need to tank more. But now you're saying it's despicable and it shouldn't be a part of the game? Leo Routens, come on, man. Get straight with this shit. Seriously, you're talking out of two sides of your face right now. Seriously. All right, listen, Leo. I get it. In some ways, you were frustrated. In some ways, I don't get why you were so frustrated about them winning games with the young players at the end of the year. That's great. That's great. In some ways, the gains of development and the confidence given to Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed and Jonathan Mobo may be worth more of the losses and the little bit of extra ping pong balls. Once again, Leo, let me remind you, we aren't the same as the other 29 teams in this league. We got Masai Ujiri, and it doesn't matter where we draft. You could get all bent out of shape, man. We really needed to get the number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg, but we were winning too much in the second half of the season. Raptors, why were you winning? You didn't need to be winning then. It was really bad. It was like, motherfucker, we don't care where we do. We can win. We can win, lose, whatever. We got Masai, the top scout in the history of the NBA, and he's going to pick the right person wherever we fall. The ping pong ball is going to determine this anyway. He's like, now we've got a very slim chance of getting the number 1 pick because we won too much. Oh, you were so annoying during the broadcast when you're putting this out on TSN in the pregame show saying the Raptors need to start losing more. Man, that's such loser talk. And I lost respect for you, Leo Routens, when you're putting that out there. Sure, some of the Tank Nation people were all about it, eating it up. Like, thank you, Leo, for validating my thoughts about losing and the Raptors and stuff. No, that's loser shit. And Leo, in some ways, the L at the beginning of your name is big L as far as how your loser mentality was about how the Raptors should have tanked in the second half of the season. So disappointed in you. So disappointed in you for taking that stance this whole time. I give way more credit to Kia Nurse, who sat next to you in a lot of these broadcast situations and was a counterpoint to you. It's like, well, Leo, as the players, we don't want to go out there and lose on purpose. We're not trying to come out there and half step Big Daddy Kane. We coming out there to kick some ass and stuff like that. So it's like, what the fuck? You're going to tell me I need to try and not win? Leo Routens, Kia Nurse plays in the WNBA. She ain't trying to tank for her team, whichever it is right now in the WNBA. I'll find out tomorrow in the fantasy draft. Listen, that was the right point, is what Kia said. Kia said, as players, we want to play it to our fullest ability and go out there and compete to our highest level every single time. And anybody who's trying to tell us to not play as hard because they're worried about the draft, that's insulting to us. It was insulting to Scotty and Darko when they got brought it up to them. Scotty said, I don't give a shit about draft picks. He did literally say that near the end of the year when people kept asking him about the Raptors winning too much and they should be tanking and trying to get a high draft pick and more lottery balls. Scotty said, I don't care about draft picks. He said, I don't care about draft picks. Scotty said he don't care. It's because he trusts Masai, and he knows Masai and Bobby going to draft the best person they can get wherever they land. Darko said, we are not thinking about this at all. We do not think about losing. We do not think about, we are trying to win every game. How dare you? It's like you're attacking the integrity of what I do for a profession. When you media assholes come to me and ask me, why aren't we losing more? Why are we trying not to lose? Why are we not trying to lose more? You know, what the fuck? Seriously, we did try to lose on the down low in some ways, benching Jakob every other game. And Leo brought that up. He said, it looks real bad when you're sitting so many players at the end of the season in different ways and weird stuff. Well, motherfucker, once again, you're speaking two ways out of your mouth because you're saying in one hand you want them to try and lose more. Well, that's the way they were trying to lose more, Leo. But you're also saying, oh, it looks bad when they're not playing everybody every game at the end of the season. Yeah, it does. I wish they had played Jakob every single game at the end of the season and we'd won more. But you wouldn't have wanted that, Leo. You wouldn't have wanted that. You would have been like, oh, they're winning too much. They're messing up our chances for the first pick. Can't have it both ways, Leo. In some ways, we did have it both ways. As Josh Lundberg said, pick a lane, Raptors. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to win? Or are you trying to get ping pong balls? The Raptors try to accomplish both a little bit in the middle path, Buddhist way. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. Go down the middle. The middle path is the right way. The middle path in this instance was develop the young people, give them a chance to win. If they want to win, they're going to have the aptitude to win. Go let them win. They did sometimes. Sometimes they didn't. Sit certain guys out. You know, Scotty wants to play his full 65 games because he wants to get the contract stuff. Okay, got to play him every single game. IQ, RJ, Jakob, Oshai, you guys are going to be on and off every other game. You know, we're not going to play you Shed in the fourth quarter. They were doing a lot of things to try and temper wins near the end of the season, and they did stop a couple wins they probably could have gotten in the last 2 weeks of the season. I would have loved to have seen them win their last game against the Spurs. I would have loved to see them go on to Dallas and beat the Mavericks. I would have loved to see them beat some of the teams but they didn't. They didn't. And in some ways, Leo, you should have been happy and smiling about those games. There was a balance, and I'm glad the Raptors got to 30 wins. I'm very, very glad they didn't have a 20-win season. They had a 30-win season, and that is different. That is a different thing. So it's like Leo Routins, man. Stop being two-faced about tanking. You're against tanking. You think it's despicable, but also you endorse them doing it, and you wonder why they didn't do it more. Man, you're talking in circles. Pick a side, and you should be on the side with Mo and I. Seriously. I get it, man. And Leo, I love you, man. You're awesome. But in some ways, that interview with Mike Roach made me think, man, Leo, you're talking out your ass. Come on, man. You're talking out your ass right here. Pick a side on that. That's right. G saying, many WNBA players are used to playing internationally, completely different countries and cultures in the offseason. So I see these ladies embracing Toronto more easily. I think that there's going to be I could predict this. I think that the Toronto Tempo will be a team that's sought after to play on. Yeah. Some people may say, well, there's detriments. You guys are in Canada, Texas, customs, the weather, all this kind of stuff. No, don't get this, man. Listen, in some ways, WNBA players may be like, I want to play for the Tempo because it's more of a gateway for me to possibly get better jobs around the globe on the off season. Right there, like G's saying right there. You know, some of these women, like Brittany Griner, was in Russia. You know, they've been around the world internationally, and they have an international culture to them because they've been exposed to it. And Toronto won't seem so weird and crazy to them than the average NBA player because those NBA players didn't go to international, most of them. And some of them did, like Ken Birch, but most of them did not and don't know that taste. But like G's saying, this is a very good point. A lot of the women have played internationally because they've had to. So, yeah, it's a really good point by G. I'm going to give G a dunk for a very astute, perceptive thing said right here. Very, very astute. Very astute. You're at 33. That's your 11th dunk of the year. There you go. Wayne's saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Sergeant at Arms, Wayne Strainer. Darko's job on our bench players is going to be evident. Looking at on other teams, core five is competitive. When the bench comes on, determines who wins games. Bench means more 4 players. Yeah, I like that. And this is something that Leo said in that interview was that it really is going to be important for us to get gains more on the young guys, not just the rookies, but guys like Grady and Oshai. They develop and add more to their games. It's going to bring and elevate the team as a whole. And the whole goal of the Raptors right now is to individually get better, each of them, but also as a team. And the collective and the team is watched over by Darko, and all the steps and the pieces and the direction of each individual regiment for the summer to work on and get better in. It all interlocks and makes sense for the whole big picture. In some ways, we're organized to the point where it's like we're not telling Scotty to go and work on something that's not useful for next year. We are very direct and not wasting time. And we're saying, Jamal, this is what we need you to do, this, and this. In fact, we know one of the things that Jamal's got to do this summer because Darko said it. He said he's got to work on his left hand. He's got to work on working his left hand. So that's a very specific thing that Jamal Shedd's going to work on, shooting with his left hand. And, well, let's see next year how Jamal Shedd comes back out with the way he's shooting with his left hand. Let's see if he put in those hours this summer. The guidance of Darko saying in the big picture, this is what you need to do individually to help in your little part. And then collectively, you're going to do your thing, and you're going to do your thing, Grady. You're going to do your thing, Jonathan Mobo. And all y'all are going to come back, and you're going to add a little bit more in the ways that make sense, an organized way to help elevate our team collectively. We're not having you out there facetiously working on bullshit that's not going to be useful for us. We're not having you out there aimlessly just putting up shots and doing bullshit during the summer, getting your cardio up. No, you have a very specialized, specified regiment that you're working on to work on specified skills that are going to absolutely fit inside the whole big scheme picture that Darko has in his head. No wasted bullshit in development this summer. We are working on the things that are going to fit together. Brandon Ingram, yeah, we love your game. We know you've been hurt. We have all kinds of visions of what you can do besides Scotty and RJ. And this is what we need you to work on exactly. Well, that's what you want me to work on, Coach, this summer? You got it. There you go. That's what I'm saying right there. It's going to be very, very awesome. We have to see the bench get better, and we will get better because of the bench. That's right. Scarlet Knight, good morning. I'm here every morning talking Raptors live on YouTube, the Raptor Freak channel. 4 years straight every morning at 9:30. My streak will be 4 years in September. Every single morning. Don't take a day off in the offseason. If you love the Raptors, this is your place to come talk Raptors things every single day. Every single day. Scarlet Knight saying WNBA season, which WNBA season is during the summer. Weather won't matter, really. This is a great point. Yeah. People that worry about Toronto weather, well, they're actually going to be up here the most beautiful time of the year. This is exactly right. Scarlet Knight, I don't know you, but you know what? That is a very astute comment, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a dunk. That's what we do. When people contribute to the chat in a way that makes sense, and it's very, very makes sense, well, we're going to give you a dunk because that's a very good point. Of course, that doesn't matter in the WNBA season because it's the summertime. Of course. They're going to be I don't know if Tempo's going to get to use OVO Center because they're not MLSE, but if they were, they might be down there during Caravana. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about having the Tempo, because then I'll be easier to do my channel year round because I'll switch gears and go right into WNBA at a certain point. Like we've had a couple of weeks where the Raptors were done and the WNBA hasn't started up. This will be a good little break time in between to kind of do off-season channel. And then when the WNBA cranks up, I'm going to be covering all their games with the Toronto Tempo like I do for the Raptors, doing previews and reactions after every single game and watching them just like I watch the Raptors like a hawk. So I hope that you enjoyed the channel today, Scarlet Knight. And I hope I see you in the chat more often. We're here every morning, and we welcome new people all the time just to come in and talk. Fiercely saying it would be fitting to have at least one Canadian player on the Toronto Tempo roster. Of course. I think that the Raptors have learned in the last 10 years that it is very valuable to have Canadian players on our team, especially right now with RJ and the way he plays all out for his city. You can see the extra intangible bonuses of having a hometown hero on your team. Kelly Olynyk, in some ways, AJ Lawson, the beauty of that. Man, I'm telling you, Corey Joseph, Jamal McGlure, Delano Banton. There's been a history of Canadians on our team, and Chris Boucher, Ken Burge. It's just a good feeling, hometown feeling, country feeling. We could get a woman from anywhere in Canada that plays for the Raptors. That will be fitting. It doesn't even have to be from Toronto. It could be a young lady who's just Canadian. And we'd be very, very, very happy. So we'll see. There's a lot of good Canadian talent in the women's side of things also, not just on the Canadian men's side, because we are on the rise no matter what in the basketball world internationally. Canada, Gordon Bear, and the SGA crew, but also the women's side of things is on the rise also. And we are coming up. And in some ways, that's what I want to see, more WNBA players from Canada and specifically on the Toronto Tempo. I'm all about that. That's right. Welcome to fam, Scarlet Knight. There you go. Shed is our Kyle Fred prototype. Very excited about him. Yeah, in some ways, I wish we had gotten Shed in 2020 when we got Flynn. It would have been a lot cooler to have Shed at that time. And you think about the mentorship that Kyle and Fred would have given him as both being there, that Malachi got and just dropped the ball on. It just didn't come into his thick Red Van Vliet skull. I don't understand. Once again, I'll go on my little diatribe as how San Diego State players are very low IQ people. Because the three that were in the Raptors, all three of them were low IQ, honestly. I mean, Kawhi is an amazing player, but let's not get it twisted. He's no rocket scientist. Let's just put it that way. And Malachi, you had two of the greatest point guard, bulldog, professional NBA players ever that could have taught you, and you didn't learn jack shit from them, Professor Lowry and Professor Van Vliet. But just imagine if Jamal Shed had been drafted the year we were in the Tampa, and he was on the team instead, playing with us under Fred and Kyle. Just imagine how much he would learn from Kyle Lowry if he had gotten to play with Kyle the amount that Malachi did. That's what I'm telling. I'm telling you, Jamal didn't have Fred or Kyle, and he excelled and grew like he did this year as a floor general, the backup point guard of the Raptors. Just imagine if he had been on the team with Fred for a year or Kyle for a year. Just the wealth of knowledge passed down from cerebral, gutsy, tough-ass point guards like Van Vliet, Lowry, and Shed. Man, that's the logical progression. We need a time machine, Masai. Can we go back and you say, instead of drafting Malachi Flynn, we want to put dibs on Jamal Shed now. He's in Houston. We want dibs on him now, even though he's a little kid in like middle school. We know from the future. We traveled from the future. That's right. All right, let me see. What are we doing next? Let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Today, we are doing jerky once again. I've had a jerky brand that was Canadian before. I forget what it was called. It's like McCluskey's or something like that. We've got a different one today. We got Great Canadian Meat. I'm sorry. This is the name of the company. Great Canadian Meat beef jerky. And this is a teriyaki pack. And, we're trying not to buy Jack Links or anything like Slim Jim or any of that kind of bullshit. That's American. And we're trying to buy Canadian products, being proud Canadian right here. That's what I'm saying. And well, Great Canadian Meat was founded in 1992 in Whitby. And it's a two-man operation. And they've been making this meat. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got to stop. For like 33 years now. So yeah, you guys, if you want a Canadian snack that's not American, go get Great Canadian Meat beef jerky. And you can get this, and you're supporting your country, supporting your industry and economy of Canada, and supporting Canadian jobs, Canadian company, Canadian product. That's what's important right now. I'm serious. And people are trying to say, oh, this buy Canadian thing won't last. Bullshit. Listen, there's people in the United States that only buy American diehard, and they've been doing this for like since the 40s. Like seriously, since like the war, Great World War II. We can do this, Canada. And the more we get away from the United States, the better right now. Seriously, we really need to do this. So people that are still blindly just buying American brands, stop. Find the Canadian or international equivalent and stop buying American products. Seriously, we're going to make our country stronger by buying more products from Canada and other countries that are our allies still. This is very, very important, y'all. Because seriously, you're going to buy Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Starbucks. You're just feeding more American companies and sending more profits south of the border. In some ways, we want to become more economically strong under Prime Minister Mark Carney. We need to buy Canadian. And don't let up. Seriously. And even if it seems like this thing is over and we're done, keep doing it because it's good for our country no matter what. And in some ways, I'm not turning back. I'm starting down a road of buying Canadian and international products and boycotting the United States for the rest of my life. I'm not going to go back. In some ways, I want to establish a life and habits that go more and more towards this because this is going to be so much better for our country. We'll be more resilient and we'll be tougher for it. So I say follow my example if you can in every area where you can. Seriously. And it will add up more and more. And once again, we will strengthen our country economically, making more jobs for Canadians. You think about it. If y'all stop buying Jack Links and everybody buys great Canadian meat, all of a sudden they have to hire more people and they have to buy more products and their profits grow. And that's all on this side of the border. It has nothing to do with those assholes down south that are MAGA and fuck faces down there. I'm just saying, seriously. I love the American people in general. I stand with y'all in resistance. All the people that got out on the streets for May Day, all the people that are out there fighting. It's ugly. He's doing all kinds of totalitarian shit. He wants to have a birthday party where he's going to get out there like the dictator of North Korea and parade his whole entire military out in front of everybody at like a $20 million cost just for his birthday. He's not about efficiency or saving money. He's about money for his golf trips. He's already spent $220 billion more dollars this year than Biden did it this year, last year. He's totally full of shit. He's a criminal and he needs to go to jail and he needs to be impeached and nobody needs to ever be like him ever again in the American government. And that's just the damn truth. And in some ways, we boycott United States partly because of him, but we also do it for strengthening our own country. And that's why I say, stop buying Jap Link's beef jerky. Stop buying any of the American products and get the equivalent that you can buy this from here. And once again, you're going to give a job to your neighbor when you do that, is what I'm saying right there. That's right. That's right. All right, let's keep going in the chat. We do have some other stuff I want to cover real quick. Let's do the classic card real quick. All right, we'll do the classic card right now. First person to write in the full name answer of the card that is pictured will get the classic card points. Ooh, let's do this hard one. Who is that? Okay, I know who that is. We'll have to see if you guys know who it is. Why is it hard to read who it is? Yeah, that's who it is. All right, they don't even have his name on the card. That's why I had to figure out who it is. All right, guys. Classic card of the day. Who is this player? Who is this player? If you can tell, it's Timberwolves. You guys know it's an art picture. It's a very nice drawn picture. Pretty good likeness of him. First person to write in the full name answer will get the classic card points for today. If you can tell who this is. You know, in some ways, I guess if you were thinking of a modern player, maybe he looks a little bit like Desmond Bain. Maybe a little bit, but not really. Pooh Richardson. Boom. Reggie knows his stuff. That's right. You got Pooh on this card, Lex. That's Pooh Richardson. That's right. There's some Pooh on this card. It is Pooh Richardson. Where does it say at the top? There, Pooh Richardson by Alan Stute. Wow. Smooth. I'm going to give you 100 points. The king of the classic card, Ahmad Rashad. He knows because he interviewed him for inside stuff. Pooh Richardson is the card today. Very good job, Reggie. I'm proud of you, man. You're going to get 100 points for this one. Yeah, that's that likeness of him. I was like, I know who this player is, but I couldn't read the name on it. I was like, that likeness of him. And then I saw on the back, it did say it. Yeah, so Pooh Richardson is the card of the day. Not a bad looking card. Pooh. What's his real name? What's Pooh's real name? Because yeah, he does have it's not his real name, obviously. Pooh Richardson. Yeah, it's such a weird name, eh? His real name is Jerome Richardson Jr. Pooh. And what was he named after? Winnie the Pooh? Like, why is he called Pooh? It doesn't really say on his Wikipedia why he's named Pooh. I'm being a little childish today. Wayne's saying frozen spinach from Belgium or Spain. Buying Canadian is fairly simple. Support Raptors wholeheartedly. Yeah, I'm with you, man. If you can't get it as a Canadian product, there's usually a place we can import it from. You know, a lot of the fruits and vegetables that may be in hotter climates, you can get from South America or Mexico. And, you know, that's important because there is a lot of produce that comes directly from the United States, once again. And you know what? That's a crazy thing. You could go to the grocery store right now and you can see the American products because they're not getting touched and they're getting left on there. And I also would commend big companies or like grocery chains or stores here in Canada to stop buying American products as much as possible. Seriously, you pivot on that. Home hardware, you know, you guys buy little candies and stuff like that and put them at your checkout counters. Go ahead and just buy Canadian ones. Seriously, the people that buy the products for the stores that sell them here, y'all can be a big part of this by pivoting away from having accounts with the big American companies. and start going to the big accounts with the Canadian companies. As a Canadian consumer, I'll pay extra to buy Canadian over cheap American just because that's what we always did. Yeah, I will. I'll do that. I'll pay more for local and small business than big corporate business also. So, you can stand on your money in some ways and make an economic difference in little ways. All of us add up. We all add up a lot. Yeah. So let me see. What else do I want to talk about? Let's do the Instagram stories. There's Draymond Green saying after the game last night, Fred VanVleet is the reason we lost to Toronto in the finals. Eric Smith posting that. Here's Leo Routen's words of wisdom for this morning. Maturity is learning to walk away from people and situations that threaten your peace of mind, self-respect, values, morals, and self-worth. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maturity is different in all kinds of different ways. And sometimes when you have poor leaders like Donald Trump that do not show how to be a mature person, well, the world becomes less mature, Leo Routens. We need better leaders out there. That's right. Coffee for peace of mind? Not here, bro. I'm a tea guy. There you go. He's saying real wise rise without pushing others down. That's the difference between power and ego. Yeah, you need to go tell that to the White House, Leo Routens. How about that? Go tell that to the White House. There's Lloyd putting on blast Scotty with Jay Simpson at Florida State basketball, the Donald L. Tucker Center, a beautiful, beautiful building where I have a lot of history. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And he's playing Raw Soul Express, also Dedicate All My Love. He's playing that song. OG's posting on Instagram for once. OG's posted okay, OG, and some of his highlights against the Pistons in that last series. Really, really cool stuff to see OG's defensive stuff, some of the blocks and the threes that he's hitting. And he's got all the defense, all the New York Knicks dramatic footage going on his Instagram right now. OG is in the thick of it in the playoffs, and he's an important player for the New York Knicks. Yeah, that's for sure. Slim Duck putting on blast Popovich. I guess he's a Popovich fan. Of course, the news came yesterday that Greg Popovich has stepped down as the coach of the San Antonio Spurs after 29 years of coaching that team, man. It's the end of an era. That's a long time, man. He was a coach for almost 3 decades in the same job. That's unheard of in sports, seriously. And in some ways, the whole NBA is coming around and honoring him and talking about him in different ways. Steve Kerr doing a tribute to him by wearing a shirt with his face on it yesterday. He is a really important figure in the NBA, and he's somebody that's awesome. And of course, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be the president of basketball operations for the Spurs. But yeah, Chris Boucher giving respect to Greg Popovich on the day he retired as a coach. Mitch Johnson, his replacement. There's Chris's child in the car seat sleeping on his Instagram. He's saying, "Keep me different, Lord. I don't mind the pressure." He's a black sheep, is what he's saying. And let's see, Coach Andrew Jones, somebody's out quad riding around on the quad, the 4-wheeler. Jamal Shed has got more joy and friendship and fun and family on his Instagram. There's Lindsey Dunn down at the baseball field at Sky Dome taking pictures of the Blue Jays and then also showing off her Friday night. As I said, last night she was interviewing Blake Shelton and Gavin Rossdale of Bush and also appearing on the City News broadcast with Alan. On what an eventful Friday night for Lindsey Dunn. Very busy. There's Jay Simpson's Instagram with him and Scotty smiling, cheesing for the camera outside Florida State campus. Scotty, you're a badass, man. You really are a good friend to come down there for this. Now, if you're in the playoffs in the future, don't go to any graduations. Just trust me on this. Don't go to no graduations in the future if you got to. There's Savannah Hamilton being a thirst trap on her Instagram. She's at TMU, her old stomping grounds where she played basketball in college. And yeah, she's just walking around checking out the TMU boldest. It was a speaking engagement with different people talking up there. And yeah, it looks like there was a good crowd there, people talking. The boldest panel. So she was on the panel too. There's Scotty at Donald L. Tucker Center at Florida State with all the graduates there. He's on the side in the crowd watching. And man, I hope nobody was bugging you, Scotty. I know you're a Florida State guy. Everybody better be nice to you down there. Hopefully they're saying nice things. Hopefully some of those Florida State Seminoles are more Raptors fans, partly because of you, Scotty. I am in the Venn diagram with you, bro, as a Florida State graduate, class of 98, and being a friend to you and also being a Raptor, a huge super fan. We're in the same proclivities of rooting for teams. Florida State is my alma mater, as is yours, Scotty, as is Jason Simpson's. And we are proud Seminoles, and we are also proud Raptors, aren't we, Scotty? That's right. We're very proud Raptors. AJ Lawson footage of him talking to Dwight Drummond. Very cool interview. He's saying that his song of Drake's that embodies his life has started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Of course, that's that song that embodies AJ Lawson started from Brampton. Now he's here in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena. So yeah, you gotta love it, man. AJ Lawson's just living the dream, literally the middle school dream he had many, many times playing for the Raptors. It's a reality at this point. Amazing. He's also did a segment where he's rating basketball shoes. So he came in, he's like looking at all the shoes, kind of going over them and saying what he likes about them. Jonathan Mobo is putting in work out west still in San Francisco, doing things, the treatment, putting up the shots, putting in the work, doing the things that Darko told him to work on for the summer to come back next year. Yeah, Leo had some nice things to say about Jonathan. Jonathan, it's interesting. Our rookies are all different. You know, Jacoby is going to be something. Jamal is going to be something. Jonathan is a very interesting all-around player. You got Jamison Battle, who's a very focused role player with three-point shooting, but he's also became a good rebounder and a defender by the end of the year. And then you got the project, Prince Shamshay, coming up, man. I'm telling you, all five of them are so different. And once again, like people are slept on the Raptors championship team. People are sleeping on this rookie class from the Raptors. And in the years to come, listen to me now, because I said the same shit about the Raptors championship team. People are going to give them more credit as time goes on. Same thing's going to happen. Same thing's going to happen with that Raptors rookie class last year. Norman Powell still understanding the grind on the basketball court and with the apparel. He's got a few pre-order items in stock ready to ship ASAP, all-star tee and hoodies and stuff like that. So get on the understand the grind gear. You can buy it and support Norman. Hey, little red squirrel. There's my little buddy out the window right there. There's Siakam working out with the heavy ball on there. I like how AJ was asked, which one would you rather, suicides or burpees? And he said, well, I'm a really fast guy. I don't mind doing the suicides because he can get up and down the court. The burpees is a little bit more for me because there's a lot of arm action. Yeah. It's also interesting. I did watch the whole entire interview with Craig Hodges on All the Smoke. Man, that guy is a really, really smart person. He's really, really important activist. He's somebody that everybody should listen to. He spoke a lot about Trump and Elon on that All the Smoke podcast, and he's trying to educate people on what's going on right now to have their eyes wide open to understand just how messed up this kleptocracy that they're setting up are. Seriously, the book that Putin does in Russia is the one that Trump's trying to do in the United States, and it's all about taking public funding for social services for the people and turning around and put it in rich people's hands and pocketing it. And all this stuff, the programs like Head Start and different things that they did for people, they just want to take all that money away and funnel it all towards very rich people into their hands, including their own. And it's all a graft. It's a grift. And it's a fucking con man. I'm telling you right now, he's a criminal and he's stealing the taxpayers' monies in the United States. That's what they're going to do. Elon Musk and him, that's what they're doing. And if y'all don't see it, y'all don't want to believe it, you believe in him, you think he's an honest person, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. He's a criminal. He's stealing the money from the people of the taxpayers of the United States. That's just the damn truth. Kelly Olynyk has Gonzaga pride. He's all about them dogs, y'all. Him and Chet Holmgren and the rest of the crew getting up for the Gonzaga Bulldogs and putting them on hype. There you go. There you go. And Kelly's somewhere in a wine cellar. There's a bunch of wine there. And there he is once again with his wife and the announcement that they're going to have a baby later this year. They're going to have a baby. Raptors official has got pictures from Halloween and other goofy stuff going on there. There's Jared Rhoden at home with his dog, his baby boy, his dog. That's cute. Jared Rhoden with his dog. There's the Instagram stories for the day. Yeah. Yeah, lots going on, man. That Craig Hodges interview is really good, y'all. He's telling all kinds of Michael Jordan stories about how Michael really was and yeah, you know, and talking about how he got banned from the NBA, like, and what he did, and it's just really good. Highly recommend that Craig Hodges All the Smoke interview. It's 2 hours. It's very long, but he really goes in depth on a lot of different subjects. The labor struggles in the NBA, how much power the NBA players actually have, you know, things about race and society and, you know, all kinds of different things, man. He said he's a very, very smart person. And I also love his love for ganja. He talks so much about smoking weed in that interview too. And you gotta love it, man. But yeah, he has stories about Michael and Kobe because he was a assistant coach for the Lakers during their championship run in the 2000s under Phil Jackson, and he was coaching Kobe Bryant, and so he has Kobe stories too. So Craig Hodges is somebody very, very interesting player, and he is totally blackballed or whiteballed or just exiled from the NBA in its history by the NBA because he calls out white supremacy. That's exactly why, right there. He understands what's going on in this world better than most people. and he's speaking the truth. And well, the truth gets silenced, and that's sad. That's the way it looks like right there. Yeah. Yeah, Wayne's saying that looking at the Warriors, that era is gone. No upgrades were groomed, and nobody perfect to send them into retirement than Fred VanVleet. Yeah, yeah. In some ways, development matters. That's something that Leo said to Mike Roach in that interview the last couple of days. It's like the Raptors' development dried up for a couple of years there, but we got it back this year. We really did. We got our development back this year, but it did dry up for a couple of years. We didn't have enough people coming down the pipeline. A lot of teams have this problem. You glorify the past while the future dries up. Bono in the Rattle and Hum album. It's like, listen, you're going to play your starters too much, Tom Thibodeau. You're going to play your old veterans too much, and you don't integrate a couple of rookies in there to develop them on the big time with them. You're going to have a pipeline closed up of talent coming to your team in development. And in some ways, the Warriors tried. They had a lot of good projects with Kuminga and Wiseman and different young players coming there, Podziemski. They got some good young players, but they're all kind of, and they're not coming and hitting on the right level. And they really kind of missed on Wiseman completely. Wiseman was a very high pick, and he did not pan out in any kind of way. And he's already out of the league. And Kuminga has been difficult. It's been a rocky road for him. He's coming around now to a degree, but it wasn't smooth. And there were all kinds of issues early on. So it's a weird thing. In some ways, you're right. Golden State has not had the right crop growing up underneath Steph Curry and Draymond Green in the last few years to get that next wave of goodness. In some ways, this was the success of Popovich, is that he always had a crop coming up underneath Duncan and Ginobili and Parker that were adding and helping all the time. So, that's part of it right there. And yeah, I love that Fred might be putting the Warriors dynasty to end again this year, because who knows what's going to happen this summer with these guys in different ways. Who knows? Draymond might be like, I want to join Luka and LeBron in LA, and all the Warriors fans will hate him. Who knows? We'll have to see. Smooth saying, I'm expecting a massive game 7 from Jimmy Butler. I really hope the Rockets are ready, man. I'm not worried about Jimmy, though. Jimmy can try and do that, but Jimmy is hurt. Jimmy may be the most hurt player in this series right now. He's out there playing his ass off, but he is hurt. And I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll just have to see. The size of the Rockets could be utilized in this situation to be an extra added advantage. They're going to need Fred again, though, too. We'll have to see. Nothing's guaranteed on any of this. All right, we got under 15 minutes to wrap up the stream very quickly. Let me see. Is there anything interesting on Blue Skies? Probably not. Should I go get the Reddit page? Let's go look at the Reddit page. Why not? Let's go see what's going on Raptors Reddit real quick. Raptors Reddit has actually been surprisingly not a real dumpster fire. This is usually pretty good on there. Let's see. This guy Cole Beasley saying happy for them, but makes you wonder. And this is what I'm talking about. You can't woulda, coulda, shoulda this shit. Fred, OG, Pascal, and Norm all thriving in the playoffs, but not together is some sick joke. Why is that a sick joke, Jordan? Hales, or whatever the fuck your name is. Why is that a sick joke, bro? Seriously, man. They're just players, and it's a different timeline. Like, why do you think it's a sick joke that they're not all together? Maybe they don't fit at this point in their career because they've grown so big. They need to be in other places to be a big fish in another pond. I don't know if you keep all those guys together right now, if they're doing the same thing all together like this. I'm just saying there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda here. And anybody is second guessing things just because these guys are having success in other places. Well, they're in other places, and there's no guarantee they'd have the success together. Some people will say, oh, why wouldn't they make it work here? Well, you don't understand basketball. In some ways, it's chemistry. In some ways, it's the way things are. That's just how they are. And no second guessing this shit. In some ways, if you're the kind of person that does this kind of shit, you're probably a miserable person because you have regrets about things in your own life like this. Understand your path. Trust it. And just say where I am presently and what I'm doing in my life is exactly where I'm supposed to be because it was meant to be this way by the Creator, by the Lord above, by whoever you believe. And stop second guessing life. Life is exactly how it is. You can't change the past. So people that make these kind of comments to me, you're idiots. You can't change any of this. Things have happened. Don't go back and don't wish what would happen. That's a frivolous, useless, unnecessary exercise is what I'm saying to this Jordan A. Halos guy or whatever. Yeah. There's the Draymond thing. Fred VanVleet against the Warriors this season is screaming and yelling like he did in the finals against them with the Raptors. That's right. There you go. They're all about Fred on Raptors Reddit this morning. I like that. Looks like one of the fans ran into Darko at Pearson yesterday. That's pretty cool. Darko looks happy and smiling, taking a picture with the fan at Toronto Pearson. yesterday. That's good, man. Of course he's going to say that. Hey, Darko, can you take a picture? Of course. Come over here. Let me get a picture with you. Hey, there you go. There you go. Let's see. Somebody saw Malachi Flynn near Waikiki Beach today. He said he didn't think anybody recognized him other than me. I didn't want to bother him as he walked by me with his girl, not even sure what to say other than things didn't work out with the Raps. I assumed he played himself out of the league already. No, bro, you should have came up to him and said, congratulations on your G League all first team, bro, for the Austin Spurs. That's what you should have said to him, man. That's funny, man. So we're seeing Darko at the airport and Malachi on the beach in Hawaii. That's funny, man. All right, let me see. Is there anything else I want to go over? There's no birthday today, unfortunately, guys. And yeah, let's just get it wrapped up and done, guys. Yeah, let's see. Thank you for watching the Raptor Freak stream today. I want to share the love for Lindsey Dunn. Lindsey Dunn, thank you for the reporting style that you do. So lighthearted and fun, but also very professional at the same time. You're a joy to watch on the screen at Raptors 905. You do a really good job of talking to the different players. Eugene Omoruyi, Charlie Brown Jr., Kennedy Chandler, Evan Gilliard, all those guys down there, and Andrew Jones. And just a fantastic job. Savannah got elevated from the 905 to the regular broadcast. And, well, Lindsey started doing it then, and she's been fantastic the year she's been doing it. Of course, she's a fantastic entertainment reporter also. And she covers all the sports here in Toronto. But you know what? She never makes me feel like she looks down on the Raptors and thinks of them as second best, like some other media personalities do in Canada. So I appreciate you, Lindsey Dunn, for being a real one for basketball, a real one for women's sports, a real one for the Raptors and the Raptors 905 and the Toronto Tempo. And I look forward to seeing how you're going to be covering the Tempo in the future, because I know you're going to be a big part of it. I'm pretty sure you will be, Lindsey Dunn. So keep on keeping on. You got the seal of approval from the Raptor Freak family as far as one of our favorite media personalities around the Raptors organization. And, man, can you get more carpool karaoke's down next year? Please. I would love to see that. Maybe you get Grady in the car, get him singing something with Oshai or something. I don't know. Can you trap more Raptors in cars and make them sing is what I'm asking you, Lindsey Dunn. We love you. We're sharing the love for you, and all the best this summer to you, Lindsey. And we look forward to more of your work around the Raptors. There you go. Thank you, Isaac, for putting me on blast. I appreciate the love from you, sir, the benevolent one holding it down in Ottawa, the nation's capital of Canada, never the 51st state, the sovereign state, true north, strong and free. We will fight and stay true north, strong and free to the end. Trust me. That's right. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Canada. Let's go, Lindsey Dunn. Let's go, Scotty Barnes, to FSU and see your friend graduate. I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow's the draft, y'all. 10 teams will be playing. Myself, James, Kaz, Logical Raptors Fanatic, Fiercely Soft Sarah, Cool Cat, Edmund, JP, Kareem. Who else am I think I'm missing? Yeah, everybody is playing. Be ready tomorrow to draft. 9:45 is when our WNBA draft will start tomorrow morning, and we'll have a WNBA draft live on this stream tomorrow, so you guys can be entertained and see all the action in that. So I'll see y'all tomorrow for that, for the WNBA draft. And thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the channel if you want to get access to our Discord server and our Facebook group. Thank you, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go.